Perception and the average person, free will or the lack thereof. I was at a orchestra performance by the prominent orchestra in my city where I live, and they were performing at the bottom of the tower of Brookfield Place, which is the largest skyscraper office tower in the city where I live. I work in the bottom of this office tower at a human upgrade facility, a longevity biohacking facility, etc., etc. I like to go around and walk during the lunch hour and just to see kind of the flurry of activity, all of the people wandering about on their phones in conversation with one another and talking and discussing, buying their lunch. It's like a great human energy. I also begin to analyze and think about this from a perspective of the business where I work for, where we are in the business of helping people with their health. They can come in and improve their fitness, their cardio capacity in a very efficient manner. Okay, you can come and do an AI optimized workout on a machine that adapts the weight resistance so that you can bring your muscle groups to full fatigue with, working out each compound movement for 1 minute. That's it. And then you can do some recovery stuff so you mitigate the impacts of muscle fatigue and soreness the next few days. You can hop into the cryotherapy chamber and also boost your energy levels, kind of reset to go on for the rest of the day. You can do all of these things, yet for the thousands of people that come in and out of this office tower, as well as all of the other ones that are connected through the hallways that go over top of the roadways, there are maybe 50 to 100 people that come into this facility per day. The rest of the thousands of people just kind of go on about their day. So I've been developing this perspective and this awareness, looking at it from the idea of how can we bring more of these people in to fund our business, but how can we also help these people, because it truly is a rewarding thing to be a fitness trainer and to help others who are trying to gain muscle mass, lose weight, improve their cellular health. Okay, it is inspiring to do that with people. So it's not just about money. It's not just about how can we bring people in to get their money. It's how can we actually help them and how can we be rewarded financially in return. One way of looking at it, okay, when we're talking about perception, there's many ways of interpreting. Are you in it just for the money? You can look at it from that perspective, but you can look at it from all the other branching domains as well. So let's try to hold multiple viewpoints together at once when we're discussing this. Now music, okay, so the orchestra. So I've been going to the orchestra for maybe 5 years now consistently. I remember the first time that I went was a smaller scale orchestra when I was quite a bit younger with my mother, who is a piano teacher, in fact, so music has always been a part of my life. Now, there's a lot to endure in the orchestra. It's not always enjoyable. Sometimes you're going through and you're suffering through it. You're thinking, man, I've been sitting for a long time. I would like to stretch and move around. You're also thinking, like, this is kind of boring. Maybe your mind is wandering. And to me, that's the beauty of it, is your mind will wander. Your mind will go places that you didn't expect to go if you allow yourself to just kind of sit and endure. And that's the same aspect of meditation. Okay, if someone's telling you how to meditate, they'll say, don't force thoughts. Don't focus on the thoughts. Try to empty your mind. Now, when you go through that, you realize you can't really empty your mind and thoughts will just come up intrusively. You can't really control them, which brings up the concept of free will. Do we have free will over our mind? And if you go through meditation, you'll start to really question this and to wonder. And some conclusions you might come to is, no, we don't have free will to an extent, right? You can't really control your mind as much as you would think that you could if you say that we have free will. However, at the same time, you can tell yourself to meditate. You can choose to meditate. You can choose to go to the orchestra. You can choose to listen to music, or you can choose to walk past and ignore it and be on your phone and be stuck in your business ideas on your 9-to-5 job working in an office tower. So there is an aspect of choice that we all have in terms of free will, But then there is another aspect. If you have chosen to work in an office tower and work a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, so the way the downtown core here is set up, the roadways literally change to adapt to the people going into the downtown core at 9 a.m. to reach their office job, okay, and then the people exiting at around 5 p.m. And the rush hour traffic literally changes the roadways for the people who are working their 9 to 5 job. And what happened on this day was the orchestra played some music in this kind of foyer area, which is like a cafeteria. There are cafe restaurants there that literally open for the lunch break of all the people working in the office tower. If you're in the downtown core and you're looking for some cheap and quick food for dinner, anytime after 5 p.m. you're kind of screwed. You have to go to like the dining streets, because any of the office tower hubs, those cafeteria style, more or less fast food restaurants, they all close after 5 because their whole purpose, this whole economy, is just to serve the 9 to 5 crowd that lives and works in these office towers. They go there for 9 a.m., they leave home back to the suburbs for 5 p.m. And that's this whole economy that exists in the downtown core of this city. What are all of these people doing? A lot of them are oil and gas companies, a lot of them are energy companies, so on and so forth. That's the backbone of this economy up here in Alberta, Canada. One of the top 3 largest oil reserve provinces or states in the entire country, behind Venezuela and Saudi Arabia, god damn it. Russia's up there as well and all that sort of a thing. Anyways, that is the backbone of this economy here, and so many of these office workers could easily be replaced by AI right now, right here. They could all be automated away, and then what would they do with their lives? Well, if it's any indicator, watching how these people engage with the arts or how they don't engage with the arts. So perception, or the lack thereof, that the average person has towards things that are different and outside of their ordinary routine. Back to the question of free will. How much free will do we have? So standing there in this horrible setup, listening to the music, I was kind of looking off to the side and observing all the people walking back and forth. They were on their lunch break, and therefore they were mostly focused on getting their lunch, talking to their friends, taking a business call, and moving on with their day. Therefore, when the orchestra was set up here in areas that they would otherwise be sitting to eat their lunch, a lot of them, I think, were confused. A lot of them didn't care. A lot of them were probably annoyed. Some of them stopped to care and to listen until checking their watch and realizing, my lunch is almost over, I got to get back because I have some important meeting or something to do at my computer way up in my office tower in 10 minutes or less. Therefore, anyone who came there, who follows the orchestra, as they have a relatively large fan base, I myself am one of them, I knew that I wouldn't go there to actually sit and enjoy their music, because this was set up in a different kind of a way that's not what you were going to. This was also a free activity, so it's a lot different than going to the concert hall to listen to the music. Whereas when one person is whispering to their partner, you get annoyed at them and you kick their seat to tell them to shut up because we're listening to the orchestra. Here, it was equal parts orchestral music, equal parts the subtle din of people talking, walking back and forth. So this tells us a few things. We have free will insofar as we can choose what we do with our life, but once we've chosen our career path, our occupation, what our focus is, then our free will becomes limited. Our perception becomes limited. We see the world as a means to an end. When you have a 9 to 5 job routine, and of course I'm speaking in general terms here, okay? Each person that works a 9 to 5 job is a human being that is fully capable of choosing to do something else. They have passions and interests in many different directions than just their job in their office tower. When you kind of look at the way people operate, okay, and the way that we walk to and from our jobs and scurry along in our routine centered around this 9 to 5 lifestyle, this magical, mystical time frame. which is interesting to consider too, the sustainability of such, right? When you live in the northern latitudes, like we do here in Canada, right? It's now almost 2 p.m. outside and the sun is getting low. In another couple of hours, it will set. So why do we still follow this 9 to 5 routine when the daylight hours have changed, right? We're stuck to this. We're stuck to how corporations want us to work. I don't think we're going to be stuck in this for much longer. With the advent of AI and automation and other such technological innovations, we have a real opportunity to rethink the way we work, to rethink and to restructure our societies. Are we going to be able to do so in the broadest societal terms? That's an open question. Now, when I sit here and watch how most people will pass by and not stop to give their time of day to these incredible musicians playing incredible music from Rimsky-Korsakov to Dvorak to Tchaikovsky, right? They played some Christmas classics here as we go to the holiday season. These are historical pieces of music that are so incredibly artful that if you have anything left of your humanity that hasn't been given away to the mundane routine of the 9 to 5 lack of free will lifestyle, then this sort of a music and this sort of a connection to something greater than yourself will give you chills and to make you cry, make you realize what it means to be a soulful human being that does have free will if you allow yourself to, and that has a connection to the beauty and majesty and endless awe of nature and the cosmos. If you allow yourself to be connected to that, then amazing things can and will happen to you. But in order to do so, you need to break free of this kind of a routine where you essentially sell your soul to corporations and to capitalism. God damn it, to capitalism. That's what it all boils down to. How can art exist in a capitalistic society? Well, the orchestra, which is an artful organization, they depend on money to keep the bills paid, to keep the lights on in this grand hall, which they are renovating and building a new concert hall to bring, the arts and the theater and the music to more people. They need money, and they depend on a lot of funding and sponsorships and that sort of thing, but they also depend on people paying money to come to their performances. So they need to reach more people. So when they come to the office tower to play music for the office people that got all the money, they're trying to expand their fan base a little bit. Trying to find some of these office people in the same way at the start of this talk, mentioning the fitness facility, right? Upgrade your health, longevity. How do we find more people to come to our business, to provide more services, to improve people's health, but also to pay the bills and to pay our salaries, etc., etc. It's the same question that the orchestra has. They want to expand their reach. So they do that by collaborating with Brookfield, which is, this huge firm. Talk about corporations. Man, they are as corporate as it gets. So the orchestra comes here to increase their collaborations, to increase their marketing, and to find more people to spend more money on the arts. So that is arts trying to exist in a capitalistic society. Capitalistic, whatever. I wish I had a robot arm that could draw out these things. Whiteboards also are a way to channel perception. Steve Jobs would thrive and be in his element when he could be in front of a group of people at a whiteboard, right? He would try to grab people's perception, to draw their attention to him as the center point of the room as he fleshed out his ideas for others to help manifest and bring into the world. So perception is a very human thing in the way that we are social primates and that we have these sort of hierarchical structures that we're acutely aware of. And our aims, whether we are conscious of it or not, are to improve our ranking in the hierarchy. Some people are more driven to this than others, and that's probably a genetic factor, right? Not all of us would have the same genetic lineages where our ancestors were needing to be ranked in the hierarchy as much as others, okay? So I think there's a natural element to leadership versus followers, and that's not to say that some people are leaders, other people are sheep. There's sometimes negativity that goes along with that, but we all have a role to play in society, and I think there are some natural elements to that. If you think about perception of a musician, watch how the people in the orchestra play their instruments. To some degree, they've given up their free will. They are beholden to the music on the sheet in front of them, which is giving their mind prompts to be able to play their instruments in a way that they can control, but they also can't. Try to be a violinist in an orchestra and to consciously, purposefully take yourself out of playing the music that the others are playing and to purposely derange yourself, and to play something totally different. Try to do that. Of course you can, but you won't. It'll be very difficult to do so because the social pressure of the orchestra is such that it keeps you focused. You must play along with how the other people in the orchestra play. Of course, you could go off of that. You could stand up and smash your violin in the middle of a performance, but to be able to do that would take a psychotic person probably, but would also take like a very strong-willed person to be able to break through the constraints that the orchestra puts on you as an individual, right? You give yourself up for the whole so you can make the music manifest. And you choose to do that, but when you have chosen to commit yourself to that process, you give up your free will, your perception narrows, you would hit a flow state, I suppose, and your soul sort of transcends. You become less an individual and more a collective part of something else. And that analogy holds true for what the office worker is doing when they work their 9-to-5 lifestyle and when they're on the lunch break walking amongst the hallways in the office towers and in the downtown core of a city that is centered around industry. So in that sort of a way, we are all just human beings, and we have our roles to play. We are all but actors on a stage. And when we become aware of that, we can choose our parts. We can be more conscious of what roles we are choosing to play. And we can maybe stop to enjoy some music if it is there in front of us. And in that moment, we can say, I'm on my lunch break. I'm following my routine. But here's an orchestra. It's surprising me. I didn't expect them to be here. What would happen if I choose to spend this hour here and listen to them, and if I ignore the clock? I ignore the fact that I had a meeting in half an hour, and I choose to be late for that. What's going to happen to me? I probably won't immediately get fired, so my income will be okay. Maybe I'll discover something new. Maybe I'll have an idea that I can then act upon. Maybe I'll chart a new course for the rest of my life. And it is when we introduce elements of chaos such as that, which art is the best thing to do that, the best medium, whether it's music, theater, literature, whatever. Allowing yourself to be swayed and influenced by these different things, nature as well. If you're choosing to go outside for your lunch break and walk around in nature, let's say a bird that is rare to your area flies by, and you choose to follow that bird and spend an hour observing it instead of going back to your job on the proper time. Let's say you choose to do that every so often. Your boss and your colleagues might be a little bit annoyed with you, but over time you will develop yourself into someone who is creative and unique, and others will be attracted to that, and the rest of your life will be more unique to who you are as a human being and less so who you are as a cog in the machine. So let us exercise more of our free will in society. Let us follow more of the arts. Let us dedicate our time to health and sustaining our lives so we can live for the longest amount of time possible. And let us not sacrifice all of our lives to be but ants in a 9-to-5 system. Offload aspects of our work life to AI so that we can free up more of our time to be an artist, to be artful, and go to the orchestra and enjoy them, and put yourself in situations that are not always easy, not always enjoyable, but that you will learn and develop something about yourself by doing so. Thank you for listening to this, and well, goodbye for now.